Hello, all you scaredy cats and kittens, and welcome to the Two Scaredy Cats Podcast, where we talk about all things strange, unusual, and paranormal. We're your hostess with the mostest. I'm Stacy.
And I'm Kara.
So, Kara, what have you been up to these past couple weeks? I know you just went somewhere over the weekend. Where'd you go?
Oh, we went to the Barbie house.
Oh, yeah? Wait, the really cool Barbie house?
No,
It looks legit
but
like the Malibu
it's like a
Barbie?
house in Ohio that looks...
Oh,
it's like completely decorated pink.
Oh, cool. And how'd that turn out?
It was fine.
Yeah. Did you guys eat anywhere while you were there? What part of Ohio was it in?
We ate at a weird Mexican-Italian restaurant. It was in
Wait a minute,
Portsmouth,
did you just
Ohio.
say Mexican-Italian?
Yes.
Okay. Wait, both of them mixed together? Or like they had separate
I think they had
offerings of
both. It seemed like it
Okay.
wasn't like a mixture.
Okay, that would have been really crazy.
It was
but,
like
okay.
It was weird though because it was a small town in Ohio, so
Oh, okay.
we got a lot of odd looks. If you know,
I
'cause
bet
we're
you
an
all did,
interesting
yeah.
bunch. We stick out like a sore thumb.
Yeah, I
Small
could say, did
town.
everybody have different colored hair this weekend, or?
Yeah, and then we also our one friend is also like she's got darker skin, so we were extra striking out.
Well, I mean, I meant
Like, they-
about the town being weird about it. That's what I'm
But yeah,
getting
no,
at.
they were. I mean, they were weird about
Oh.
it. They were definitely just like gave us
Gotcha.
like weird looks. Like
Oh,
anywhere
that's
we
funny.
would go, like people would just stare at us.
Oh, that's weird.
It just like
That's
makes
funny.
you uncomfortable. You're like, oh.
Yes, very uncomfortable to the point of you don't want to be in the town. What town was this?
I told you it's Portsmouth, Ohio.
Portsmouth, really? Like
Yeah.
right there on the river?
Yeah, it's on the
Really?
river.
That's strange because I think we've been there a few times. I wouldn't expect that, but
I mean, it's a rural-ish town.
I know.
Oh, you know
I
where we were
A lot
by?
of-
I forgot to tell you. We were by a mound in like a Native American
An Indian burial ground mound?
ground.
Yeah,
Yes,
cool.
Apparently, it was right across from the Airbnb because it was called like Mound Park or something.
Well, why didn't you go check it out?
I don't want to get cursed. It's literally called Mound Park, and I was like, "Why is it called that?" And then I looked it up, and it was like, "Oh, it used to be the burial ground."
You're not
I was
going to
like,
get
"Great."
cursed as long as you're not going there and
I
desecrating
know,
their
but it was
thing,
just.
but you're being
I
silly.
can't believe it was legitimately across
That
the
is
street.
crazy. So you could basically see it from
Yeah,
the
like
house,
it
what you're
was.
saying.
You could tell it. You could see like how it like kind of goes up or whatever. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Huh. That's crazy.
Yeah, it was interesting. I had like nightmares while we were staying there too.
Fun. Interesting. Yeah. Sounds like
It was
you had
so
a fun
weird.
weekend.
Everything was pink in their mom. Like even their like the toilet paper was pink.
Really? Ooh, that is
Everything.
weird. Were
Like
the
their
tissues
cleaners,
pink?
like all their
Yeah.
cleaners were pink.
Okay, that's bizarre.
The only thing we found that
Did they
wasn't
have a
pink-
hot tub? Was it pink?
No, I wish.
Oh.
That was the one thing. Like I feel like if they had that, it would have been like the perfect place.
Yeah, that's cool.
They had like a cute little pink library and like these giant pink chairs and everything said like the Pink Dream House, I think is what it's called.
Oh,
It's on like
interesting.
Airbnb
Huh.
you can rent.
Interesting.
And it was,
I
like,
thought you
really
meant, you
pretty.
know how they did like the Malibu Barbie dream house? Like it looks
No,
like
but
the
it
house
looks
from the
like
movie
Barbie's
with the-
house. Like it's
Oh, okay.
all pink. So it
Okay.
it reminds
Interesting.
me of it. I'm pretty sure it was like
Mhm.
Barbie inspired. I don't think it's not the Barbie dream house. It'd be cool though.
Gotcha. All right, that would have been cool, right? With the slide that you can take.
Yeah, but
from
probably
the
be
balcony down
expensive. This place was a lot
Oh, I'm
cheaper.
sure it is. Remember, we looked it up one time. I think.
Yeah, it was
I
like
think it was like $5,000 a day or something crazy.
probably. That sounds about right.
Yeah. All right. So we didn't really do anything this weekend. It was like a very lazy, bummy kind of weekend. I don't. Oh, we watched the Super Bowl. Thank God the Chiefs did not win. I'm sorry, but I'm so tired of hearing about them. I'm so glad the Eagles won. Thank goodness.
That was a interesting game. is
Oh
all
my
I'll
God, I
say.
can't believe
How many times that was
insane.
fumbled.
Yeah,
and
like
stuff?
how many times he got sacked and all that, and how many times.
Yeah, Mario
like,
kept saying he was kissing the grass.
I know, it's great.
He's like,
it was
he
so
keeps
awesome
just kissing
to
the
see.
grass. I was like, Mario, what the heck?
It was great. It was nice to finally see them not, have the refs on their side all the time. It was great.
Well, now they can
I
stop
was-
saying that they keep paying them. So that is
I know.
debunked
Well,
officially.
We can move on. Yeah, we
Everyone can move
from
on
that.
with their lives and shut up about the stupid the paid thing.
Thank God, yeah. That I thought for sure though, Kelsey was gonna propose to Taylor. Man, I had it in my
Why
brain.
do
it
you
was
think
coming.
that every single time?
Because it's a big game. Think about it. Okay, he likes
but
to be
she
in the
wouldn't want
limelight
that.
and-
That's not what she would want. She would want something
Oh my gosh.
more
Okay.
sincere. Like, why would she be like, "Hey, let's get engaged on something that's celebrating me"? Why would he not do it like at the ear store or something like that?
I don't know.
Come on, Mom. Think
But anyway.
like a Swiftie. You're not thinking like a Swiftie.
I'm sorry. I just want him to get engaged so we can move on.
It's not gonna move on. It's gonna get worse if they do get engaged.
Yeah, but you know what? I swear, when I was looking at pictures of her the other day, I thought she was pregnant for a few seconds.
What? Oh my god.
From a side angle. Yeah, I thought she was.
Oh my god.
Yeah. I know. Alright. Anyway. I don't think there's anything else going on. So let's go ahead and I guess we'll dive right in. So what do you have for us this week, Kara?
We're gonna be talking about the Plum Island.
Okay. I don't think I've ever heard of this.
Well, it was a book I read called Lab 257 that went into, like, basically what happened. A lot of this is alleged, and the government's not going to say it's true or not, so put your tinfoil hats on, because we are going into to some interesting kind of yikesy territory if this is true. So, Plum Island is an island near Long Island, so New York. It is actually not identified on most maps, and the few it is listed on is actually marked U.S. government dangerous animal diseases.
Really?
Yes. So it's not...
Wait a minute, did you just say, animal diseases?
Yes. It's an animal...
Oh, you know what? I think I did come across that once when I was...
You might have heard about it because... have you ever heard of the Montauk Monster?
Yes.
Okay. It's related to that.
Okay. Because they thought it was a creature that had escaped the island, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
But it gets way more interesting and deep dive.
Okay.
About what they were testing on animals and what might have happened.
Okay.
So the island has a really rich history over the past 350 years. Like, I didn't realize this, but it was an ancient Native American fishing outpost.
Really?
It was then colonized by English settlers and then turned into a sheep and cattle farm. It was a Revolutionary War battleground, and it was also a rendezvous spot for the British in 1821, I think.
Huh.
Sometime in the 1800s. It was also a coastal defense fort and a submarine mine factory. And then finally, an army biological warfare factory. Wow. Oh. That's so exciting.
Wow. Yeah, that's a lot of interesting
right?
stuff.
It has a lot of rich history.
Yeah, a lot of war and, or you know what I mean, during wartime and
stuff.
Well,
when you think about it, it's an island off of the coast of New York. It's very close to New York City, so it's like in that area, you know.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, why they would want it or want to use it like that to help protect the city. I get it.
So since 1954, the mission of Plum Island's Animal Disease Center has been to protect America's $100 billion livestock industry and help protect it from like viruses and stuff. One of the diseases that they worked on was the foot and mouth disease. I don't know if you've heard of that.
Oh, yeah, because your brother had it. Do you remember that?
I know, but but like this is for the cow, like cows and stuff.
Okay, you're not talking about human version of it. Got it.
No. Yeah, this is like, basically if your animal gets it, it's super deadly and basically you're cooked. Like, they'll have to quarantine the animal. And like, basically it happened in, I think, Britain.
Whole group, I guess.
I can't remember off the top of my head, but like in 2000s or something, and they would just had to burn all the animals, because the corpses could also like pollute, spread diseases.
Yeah, that makes sense, I guess.
So in 1954, Plum Island was given to the USDA. So the USDA was the one doing a lot of this, which is interesting. I did not know that the USDA was doing stuff like this. It was given to them for animal disease research, and that they were studying diseases and how to prevent and eliminate them. However, they were also testing biological warfare weapons at the same time. Specifically ones that would hurt livestock and potentially hurt food sources. Because when you think about it, in war, if they can't feed their soldiers, it can hurt them. So, yeah, I didn't really think about it that way, but there you go. In 2001, the mission did change to biological warfare, specifically. So that's fun. And you might be wondering, is there a connection between Plum Island and West Nile and Lyme disease? And that is, in fact, allegedly, I'm saying allegedly, true.
Yeah.
So, 1975, Lyme disease. You've heard of Lyme disease, right?
Dude, yeah, it's like very popular here when I lived in Kentucky. Yes, I know what it is.
So,
from a disease tick, yes.
So I don't know if you were aware of this, but deer can swim distances up to like about 4 miles.
No, I did not know that. Is that what we
I did not know that either.
Everywhere. Yeah, I did not know that.
I did not realize that deer could swim that far.
Yeah.
But
I would never in a million years imagined that.
I mentioned that earlier, that this island was about 2 miles from Long Island.
Oh, so you're saying the deer could
So
swim
I was saying they
that?
could swim, they would swim across.
Huh. I've never heard of this. It's crazy, okay.
I don't really think they thought about it, or maybe they just didn't care.
But wait a minute. Wouldn't the river that separates this island from New York, isn't the water there pretty choppy? I mean...
They have, they have tracked the animals. They do know that they can swim across.
Oh, okay.
Like,
so
this is,
okay.
Like, this is a pretty well-researched book, at least.
Okay, so you're saying it's legit. Okay, I gotcha. I thought maybe it was,
yeah, like,
just came up with this
it was more, like, brought up, because what we're going to talk about is interesting. So, Old Lyme is the name of a town. It's a little north of Long Island, which is basically near where this island and all that stuff is going on. Over the summer of 1975, a strange case of rashes started to break out amongst the population. They were showing signs of strange physical and mental ailments suddenly without explanation. 2 years later, they were able to figure out it came from a bite by a deer tick. So as we know, that's where Lyme...
Well, Lyme disease came from, yes.
Yes. So, after World War II... the U.S. and other world powers scrambled to try to offer Nazi scientists positions in the U.S. government.
Wait a minute. Why would we want Nazi scientists?
Because they were not. I mean, they were kind of a little wild, but they had some. Because they didn't want them to go to other countries. I guess I don't know. I think it's stupid. But the CIA. This is all alleged. Back to alleged because there was a book that came out saying this. Obviously, the U.S. government's not going to say this, but they're not gonna a lot of evidence that proves that this stuff could be very true by like disclosed information acts people got. That kind of like we're just gonna keep going, but like I said, we got our tinfoil hats on today.
All right, go ahead.
I said it gets a little wild.
All right.
So they would get positions in the U.S. government, and they were offered basically like, hey, we'll get rid of these documents and help cover for you. In exchange, you'll get like U.S. residency. Okay. And basically we'll offer you like these nice jobs. And so that was a thing that happened.
I'm sure some of the Holocaust survivors didn't appreciate that, but carry on. Sorry.
Some of the Nazi scientists had actually been testing using ticks to spread biological weapons. And that's where the connection, that's where we're getting the connection.
Gosh, wonderful.
Yes, so that was something that they had been testing, and we already know that that's like a thing people were doing because of how ticks can spread diseases, basically. So I think we can kind of see where this is kind of going. Yep. But one of the Nazi scientists ended up working in Plum Island lab fairly often. And there was research unearthed about USDA files from the vault of the National Archives, and 2 were labeled tick research, and a third was labeled E. Traub, and that was the name of the scientist. In the night, so it was, so we got tick research as a file. The folders were empty though, because they did not want that information out.
Well, yeah, of course.
Incriminating, but it's still suspicious that there were even a folder with both of those in the same time. Like I said, it's not, we don't have any like solid evidence other than like hearsay, so that's why I'm saying it's a little tinfoily.
Right, got you.
But it is very suspicious, all of this evidence.
I agree, yeah.
In the 1952, the Joint Chiefs of Staff called for a vigorous, well-planned, large-scale biological warfare test program with all interested agencies participating. A top-secret letter to the Secretary of Defense later that year basically was dated. So a source from someone who worked on the island in the 1950s stated that a scientist had released ticks on a part of the island. So we at least know that there were ticks being let off in that. We don't know what they had, obviously.
Right, obviously.
But there was some sort of weird biological testing they were doing.
Right.
And we are aware now that that a lot of the land was just like kind of like just naturally grown. So there's a bunch of like wildlife and stuff there.
Oh, okay.
Obviously there was also like the cattle, because they were also doing like the cattle stuff, but...
Right, yeah. Huh.
There was a lot going on here. Okay.
Sounds like it.
In 1995, Congressman Michael Forbes actually raided Plum Island. So the only way onto the island also is a ferry that would take you from... So he approached the ferry and he was like, hey, I am the congressman or whatever, and we're coming over. Like, there's no ifs or buts. We are coming to investigate this.
Right.
A lot was going on, and a lot of people were kind of upset. In that book I talked about, where they were talking about, like, the CIA agents helping Nazi scientists and whatever. There was a lot of crazy stuff going on.
Sounds like it.
So, the captain of the ship or whatever who takes people over, he did comply, but he definitely called ahead to let the scientists know, like, hey, we're cooked.
Why would you do that? Yeah.
Well, I mean, he did have to warn them, I guess.
No, he didn't.
He did radio them and give them a heads up. But they were kind of panicking because they didn't have PR people there. And they had... So, the congressman also came with 2 journalists.
Oh, nice.
So they never really got anything good from it, but they did go kind of investigate a little bit. He did tell them, like, hey, there's a great concern about the prevalence of Lyme disease on eastern Long Island. And how they have the highest incidence of it in the world. So, like, you can actually pinpoint the cases of Lyme disease on a map of, like, the United States by drawing a circle. And, like, the largest area infected is that island area.
Really? Huh.
Yes.
That's crazy.
And, like, basically the point where, like, the most origins is Plum Island. So it's kind of suspicious.
Huh.
Right?
Yeah. Very suspicious.
And then, so 1999, the West Nile virus.
Oh, yeah.
Also originated in New York.
Wait, that
near Plum
originated
Island.
there too?
Yes! What? Is that not very suspicious?
Up. Yeah, that's very suspicious.
And that one's also mosquitoes, which is another way that they can, like, do biological warfare stuff, you know what I mean? Because mosquitoes can transmute it into your blood.
Next, you're going to tell me the avian flu is coming from there too, the bird flu.
No, but the pig flu. Remember swine flu?
Swine flu, yeah.
That was another one that...
Interesting. I wonder if bird flu's coming from there then too.
I don't know. I think it's been shut down, though, recently.
Oh.
Because this book's kind of from, like, 2000s.
Well, that's when the bird flu first appeared. Remember, it appeared a couple, like, I want to say 5 or 10 years ago, remember? And then it kind of died down for a while, and now we're back up to where they're killing all the chickens and all that.
Yeah. So,
interesting.
I don't know what you know about the West Nile virus, but it was not in the Western Hemisphere when it got introduced here, like, at all. So it was being spread by mosquitoes, like I said, and the public kind of freaked out when it was proven that it was the West Nile virus that was going around. They actually Greenwich, Connecticut, which is very close to this area, actually implemented a 5 p.m. outdoor curfew because they were trying to prevent people, because, like, you know how mosquitoes normally bite later in the afternoon. West Nile is actually a virus that has been used in biological warfare. Specifically, Iran had been using it. So really? That's interesting. Huh. Yeah. We're going to talk about the Montauk Monster. So, the Montauk Monster was an animal carcass. If you Google this, you can find a photo of it. It definitely looks odd. It's basically, it was like an animal carcass that was washed up on the shore near the business district of Montauk, New York, in July of 2008. So it's pretty recent. And if you didn't know this, but Montauk is also the same place that had the Montauk Project that inspired Stranger Things.
Interesting. No, I didn't know that. Huh.
I did not know that either. But there was a lot of stuff that was going on.
Yeah.
And if you're curious, because there's a lot more that was, like, talked about in the book, but it was just a lot. And I wanted to... Yeah. The Lyme disease thing was kind of crazy.
Yeah, it is.
All the time.
That is crazy.
But anyways, if you learned anything from this, make sure you spray yourself for ticks and check if you're going, like, anything. It is not worth it. The, like, people describing, like, having it, because, like, a lot of the people describing were, like, the first people who got it.
Yeah.
It just sounds wild. Like, you get really depressed. Like, it mess with your, like, mood and stuff.
It messes with everything, basically.
I know, but it's just crazy.
No
disease.
joke, yeah.
I mean, I guess it makes sense why people think it's, like, a biological weapon kind of thing.
Yeah.
I don't know, but it definitely makes me wonder. Yeah, luckily, that was it.
I didn't know Stranger Things was actually based off of that stuff, kind of, sort of.
Well, not this. The Montauk Project is its whole thing. It's like I think I might be another podcast.
I was just gonna say, maybe you should, delve into
Well, because I was like, oh, like it's based off of like time travel and all the crazy stuff. That was similar to the Stranger Things. Yeah, it was almost called Montauk. That was almost the project's name.
Really interesting, huh?
Government's always up to weird stuff, especially New York.
I know, right? Jeez.
Did you know the CDC also had like stuff get leaked from there?
Who?
The CDC.
No, really.
Because they didn't have it like properly ventilated inside, so there was like some crazy diseases escaping.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah, I swear, if we're not going to die from one thing, it's going to be something else. Fun times.
Yep. Alright, well, what is yours today?
Alright, so today I'm doing mine on, well, it's like, it started with one thing and then it just kind of snowballed into something else, so just bear with me. It'll all kind of make sense here.
Okay.
So, I started off with, I came across a story from, Dana and Greg Newark, right? They did the Hellier thing, and they have their own museum, the Haunted Object Museum, which travels around the country, and you can go inside and see these haunted objects that they've collected, and a lot of them they've helped, like if they were haunted by ghosts or spirits, a lot of times they help, you've heard of them before.
Yes.
So anyway, I was poking around on the internet trying to find the topic, and I came across an interesting story that a couple years ago they were at a Paracon convention, and I can't remember what part. It was in New York or somewhere up north, and they ran into some old friends of theirs that are in the paranormal community, and they had something for them, as they get haunted objects all the time from people, people thinking that their object is haunted or whatever, and they don't want to keep it in their house because they don't want whatever is attached to it to keep bothering them. So they'll give it to Dana and Greg, and they'll usually bind it or take care of whatever's in the object. So anyway, they got what they've referred to as the Devil's Deck, which is a haunted deck of tarot cards that they got from a follower that had handed to these friends of theirs that are in the paranormal community, that decided to hand it off to Greg and Dana since they were better equipped to handle the situation. So the story goes that it was some lady, and she had gotten these cards from her aunt, and I guess it's kind of, I don't know, it was kind of not known what the aunt was into that made her feel like before she could use the cards that she needed to cleanse them or whatever. But she decided she was going to sage the cards. She sprayed them with salt water, to help cleanse them also. And then she also decided that she was going to go through, and on each card, she was going to do the sign of the cross and holy water on each card individually. So she went through the whole deck of cards and did this, and she let them, I guess, dry outside or something. Mm-hmm. So she brought them in her house. And she said that as soon as she brought them in the house, like crazy, like bad kind of things started happening. She claimed that as soon as they came in, the dog got sick. I mean, the dog was completely fine, and all of a sudden the dog is like puking all over the house for no reason. And she claimed that her husband would have bad dreams at night, like so bad, like, it was to the point where he couldn't sleep. Her son got this happened like almost instantly overnight. She said her son was fine the one day. He woke up the next morning and he had a huge lump on his leg. And it was hurting him so bad, like he couldn't walk or anything on it. So they ended up taking him to the ER because she was concerned that it might be a blood clot. Well, they went and they had it looked at, and they couldn't find anything. They couldn't find out what it was or why it was there. So, he came home with that. And all the fire alarms in their house would go off for no reason. Like, it would be like the middle of the day, nothing's going on, and all the fire alarms in their house would go off at one time. And they don't know, it was so weird, she said. And then lights in the house would go on and off on their own. So she decided that the cards were cursed. She also said that when she tried to use them, the devil card would come up all the time, like nonstop. Every time she'd use them, it was only the devil card that she would pull from the deck, nothing else. She got concerned. Now, she only had the cards in her house for a week, and after the end of the week she was done, she decided this was enough. She doesn't want them. There's something attached to them. And so they got into the hands of Dana and Greg. But here's where it gets kind of, this is when we go down the rabbit hole and it gets really interesting. But before I get into all that, they did mention that this deck that she had gotten was like a very rare deck, and it was in a wooden box when she received it. And this deck was like, there's not very many of them that have survived or are still hanging around. They didn't tell us, I saw pictures of them, they're pretty interesting looking. But they had a very 70s vibe to them, these cards did, so they think they were from like the 70s. Graphics on them were very striking, you know what I mean? Like very interesting looking. Dana said. The craziest thing about this is that Dana used that particular deck that she got from this lady when they went to Hellier. Do you remember when they were in the tunnel in Hellier and they were that was the deck she was using. Were the haunted ones from her. She said that since she's had them, that yes, the devil does show up a lot when she does it, but she feels like it's not a bad omen. I guess because some people seem to think that the devil's like a bad connotation, but she said it's not necessarily bad. It just means that you need to be aware of there's something coming up that you need to be aware of, or you know what I mean.
Yeah,
like
I pulled the devil card yesterday.
Oh, there you go. You're gonna be on some weird trip or something, apparently, or something
right.
that you need to know about is gonna happen. But anyway, so that's what happened with the cards. She used them for several years. That happened in 2016 when they got the cards from this lady. She actually ended up using them. You know the show, I don't know if you've ever watched the show Kindred Spirits with Chip Coffey, and then there's the girl and then the other guy. I don't know their names off the top of my head. I think it was Amy Broomy, and I can't think of the guy's name. But anyway, they go investigate different spots and that stuff like that. Well, she ended up using the cards while she was there in the Proctor House in Salem, Massachusetts, and ended up doing a tarot spread while they were in there doing some work in Salem. And it was at that time that she decided that she was going to retire the deck of Noah, and she hasn't used them. Like, that was 2016, and we're now in 2024, 25, I mean. So she hasn't used them since then, she said, because she felt at that time it was time to retire them and not use them anymore. That whatever purpose they had, it was done. That, they had served their purpose and it was time to let them be retired. That I guess sometimes you can feel that with tarot cards. But I thought it was very interesting about tarot cards and how they came to be. So tarot cards started in the 1300s, and they were like first used as like playing cards. People would play games with them. Back in the day. And when they were first made, it was coin, cups, swords, and polo sticks. But as we know today, we have pentacles, cups, swords, and wands that are in cards today. There's the major arcana, which is 22 cards, and that's basically like all your gods and goddesses and wizards and all that kind of stuff, the hermit and all that. And then you have your minor cards, which are 56. And these are the ones that are relatable to us. They're more like kind of like earthbound cards, whereas the major ones are more like forces of like gods and goddesses and things in the heavens and stuff. So anyway, where I'm going with this is that there were 3 people that actually made the original cards that came to be, but only 2 people are ever acknowledged on the actual card pack. But even before we Yep, I'm talking about the Rider-Waite deck. But did you know that there was like a third person that they kind of don't talk about very often? Yeah, and that would be the illustrator of the cards. Did you know that Rider is actually the printer of the cards, and so his name always goes first, which I think is stupid.
Huh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, all he did was print them. Waite was actually the person that actually wrote the the stories behind the cards or the symbols and all that, and came up with the deck and how it worked. And then they had the illustrator, and her name was Pamela Coleman Smith.
Oh, was it a girl?
But everybody, yep, it was a girl, which is pretty cool.
That is cool.
Yeah, she was a very famous illustrator, and her nickname was Pixie. But here's where it gets really interesting. Her and Waite and some other pretty famous people, like the name Aleister Crowley, were all involved in the same secret society together, which I did not know this. They were involved in a secret society called the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, or at column referred to by most people as the Golden Dawn. Now, this was a secret society that was devoted to the study and the practice of the occult and magic during the 19th and 20th century, and it was founded by a gentleman by the name of Samuel Mathers in 1888. This order was made up of middle-class men and women, which is amazing to think of because, let's face it, back in 1888, women were not allowed to do a lot of things.
Yeah.
And this would have been one of them. But anyway, their little society that they came up with was actually based off of, well, actually the founder, Matthews, was a Freemason. And he based their secret society off of how the Freemasons run their organization. So they had all these, like different orders that you had to go through. And they basically this order was dedicated to the Renaissance's ideas of enlightenment. So they were studying such things as alchemy, the Kabbalah, as well as astrology, tarot, gramancy. And their understanding came from manuscripts that had been from these early modern printed texts and supplements by magical knowledge that had come unlocked through archaeological discoveries, ancient Egypt, and Hellenic worlds. So, while there were never many more than 100 members to the order, it attracted many famous and influential figures of artistic world. A lot of the magic books published by some of its members would go on to inspire the imagination of many artists, magicians, and writers and filmmakers of our time. As I told you, Samuel Mathers was the founder of the Golden Dawn, and he published his first book on spirit conjuring, which he pieced together from several manuscripts that he had read in several different languages, and this happened in 1889. Now, the importance of this book is that this book became a book called The Key of Solomon, and this has been, through the years, it's been through many different editions, and it's still printed today, and it's still a very popular book today. So another member of this Golden Dawn Society became famous for his interest in Christian mysticism, and he's one of the writers of the Rider-Waite Tarot deck, which was also illustrated by a member of the Golden Dawn group, and she was a lady by the name of Pamela Coleman Smith, but she was known as Pixie, who was a talented illustrator herself. Another famous but notorious member of their little group was none other than Aleister Crowley, who was publishing old magic during the early 19th century when there was a big magic revival going on. And that was when we had a lot of spiritualism was very popular here in America during this time. All that stuff was going on, and people wanted to know what happens when people died, and they tried to talk to the other side and all that. So Crowley was actually a youthful member of the society, so he was really young when he joined, and he was actually mentored by Mathers, who's the guy that invented Golden Dawn. He was mentored many years by Mathers until both their egos got too big, and Crowley decided that he didn't want to be with him anymore, and he went off and started his own magic society that he ended up calling the Argenteum Ostrum. He became known as the King of Hell, and he got the title as the wickedest man in the world because he was into some really crazy stuff, and he was doing things that the other group, wouldn't try. He was doing black magic and all kinds of stuff like that. And he just went down this whole other wormhole that a lot of them, kind of poo-pooed because they thought, I don't know, the right thing to do at the time, or they didn't think that there was any benefit to doing any of that type of stuff. So Crowley, he had his own secret society. He also came up with his own little church that he had, but he never really got a lot of followers because he was very much basically a dick. Mm-hmm. So nobody really wanted to follow him. It was all about him. It was very egotistical. So eventually, and he was, okay, so the reason why he was able to do all this is apparently his dad was a giant beer manufacturer in I want to say, I don't think it was England. It might have been Scotland or somewhere. So his dad made all his money that way. And of course, being the son of the rich person, they paid for all of his, adventures and stuff that he would go on. Crowley was well known, though, as a mountaineer man, because he would go and climb like a lot of different mountains. He'd climb Mount Everest, and there was a couple of other really tall mountains that he's managed to climb over the years. But in the end, he died poor and basically like pauper. Sorry, he was living in like a not a youth hostel, but something similar to that over in England. He ended up going back to England. He lived in Italy for a while, but because of his craziness and all the stuff that he was involved in, he got kicked out of Italy. They did not like what he was doing and, all the stuff that he was up to. But I thought it was interesting that, I started off just talking about this haunted tarot deck, and the next thing you know, I'm learning all about the secret society called the Golden Dawn, and all these, famous people were that were in it. Also, it should be interesting to note that the poet Yeats, he was also in the secret society and was very big into alchemy. He wanted to study how to take metals and turn them into gold, which was what alchemy is all about. Yeah, but I thought it was interesting that all these English and British people were all into that kind of stuff. Yeah. So, that's all I have. And I find it funny that the secret society was related to Freemasons because, the Illuminati and all that, too.
It's always the Freemasons.
Yep, right. It always comes back to those Freemasons and their craziness.
Yep.
But, but that's all I have for today. And I am getting ready to get out of town. Well, it's going to be cold and icy next week. And I'm going to Mexico. So, hopefully I'll have some cool stories.
Are you going to see the Gulf of America?
I know, right? The Gulf of America. But better yet, maybe I'll see the Chupacabra bomb down there too. Yeah, there we go. Maybe I'll come into contact with him while I'm down there. You never know.
Yeah, I'm going to go freeze to death in D.C.
Yeah, you have fun. That's going to be cold. Oh, that reminds me. We were watching one of those shows on the Discovery Channel, where they hunting monsters. It was that monster show that they have.
Yeah.
But anyway, they were this is so crazy. They were in the Smoky Mountains. Oh. And there have been a lot of instances there where, speaking of I'm trying to say the Chupacabra. Yeah, that thing. Speaking of it, they had a lot of instances where people's animals, like there was this pig farmer and his pigs, like he's losing like one pig a day. And when he goes and finds them, they're drained of all their blood. There's no blood left behind whatsoever. They have punctured wounds on their neck. And they don't know what's going on. There's also this lady that lost like 43 chickens in like 2 months. Oh, weird. And she said when she finds them, she's like, they're totally drained of blood. And they say that if it was like a normal predator, like if it was like one of the bears or any of the different types of big cats that roam around there, they would have eaten the whole thing, right? They don't leave stuff behind. But they said that whatever is bothering all these animals that in the Smoky Mountains is leaving the carcass behind, which is odd for a predator if it was a predator. So they're trying to figure out what's going on there, which is interesting. So hopefully maybe we can find some more information out on that little story and give you guys an update in a while.
Yep.
Or I can convince Dad to take me there so we can go investigate. But
yeah.
I don't see that one happening.
Yeah.
But you never know. It is his favorite place, so I might be able to convince him. But I need to wait for a while because all the stuff going on around here with my one son's eye situation and everything, I'm like, yeah, I'd probably need to wait a while before I spring that one on him.
Yeah, I agree.
But anyway. But that's all I have for this week, so.
Yep. All right.
Try and stay warm and.
Try. Well, if you enjoyed our podcast today, follow us on Instagram and YouTube at Two Scaredy Cats Podcast, and please be sure to leave a review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. It really helps the show get discovered. And tune in 2 weeks for a new episode. And to all our scaredy cats and kittens out there, remember, curiosity didn't kill these two scaredy cats.